Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunrise Edit today. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Magwa.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. This is Lagos.
Oh boy.
But we're not about to show you Lagos on the skyline.
We're going to Osun State today on our skyline. I just take a look at this beautiful scenery there. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. Henry Ijesha Waterfall in Osun State. Did I get it?
Ayo, she's asking you.
Ayo, did I get the pronunciation? Henry Ijesha.
Henry Ijesha. Henry is smile. Okay?
Take your time.
Henry Ijesha. That's what
Now you have your answer.
So let me get to Henry.
No, I keep saying Henry. Exactly.
Henry Ijesha.
Mm-hmm.
Aha, there you go. A beautiful sight there from Osun State.
But it's a tourist site, though.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a lovely one, as a matter of fact. And the beautiful thing
look
about
at that
this is,
waterfall.
as hidden as it appears from, the view from above, it's actually lovely. I mean, there are images of tourists having fun in this kind of scenario. So this is another lovely area in Osun State wherein, several sites really, I mean, we keep saying this time and again, that different states have got those spots which the state governments and private sector can leverage on and ensure that you just go in there. Look at this. Hikers, okay, no, maybe not hiking. Or you could even still go here all the same.
Yeah, a lot of people go to this waterfall, and it's a popular one. It's one that many excursions.
You've been there?
Yeah, I have. I've actually been to this place. I had a whole bit with the Southwest after Ayo challenged me. I decided to go and visit a few places and it's beautiful. It's so calming. You see that the bottom of this waterfall. If you can just sit there and be silent and let the water just be the only thing you hear, it is one of the most therapeutic things I've ever done in my life. Wonderful sight. But there's a lot of history and mysticism around this place. And I'm sure Ayo would like to share some of those stories with us.
Or the mysticism too.
Yeah.
I don't know about the mysteries, but then. But one thing, by the way, guys, just know this. Henry Ijesha Waterfalls is not too distant from the place you took us yesterday, Ikogosi Warm Spring.
Yeah.
Not distant at all. In fact, in under an hour, you will get to exactly where you're going. And it's who is to say, for instance, that one is not the source of the other? I'm not even going to go into that controversy right now. But, for me, what's important here, and I can see that with the wooden bridge built there is an effort. There will be an effort of sorts to develop that place and make it exactly what it's supposed to be. Waterfalls are just what they are, amazing works of nature. Please don't look for the history, just enjoy what it is that God has provided for us and blessed us with. It's well, there is, of course, there's a lot of,
scared me a little bit. I was a little scared when I heard the actual story. I was like, oh my God, do I want to be here? But well, you can look past
all
the
kinds
story
of things
and then just focus.
Well, that mysticism, part of the mysticism, by the way, is this assumption that the name of the waterfall came from Olumiri, which means another god, which appeared to be a mysterious sort of thing. And it's said to be for healing, for protection, and all kinds of things. So please, can you just stick with the therapeutic nature of it? If that's the healing you are looking for, please let's just enjoy that. But this is a call on Osun State to do the most that they can. 2 waterfalls in one environment is a miracle, and Osun State should just do whatever they can to raise the stakes of this place. This is the kind of thing people just want to see. Can we find a way to develop this place, make it as modern as can be, so that it can attract people from all walks of life in every part of the world to come here, and just nothing mysterious, nothing spiritual, just please come enjoy the natural works and blessings of nature right here at Henry Ijesha in Osun State.
There's the Osun River as well in August, because that's when all of this happened. In August, People come from around the world to come and worship at that river. You know, and then of course, because you're a tourist, you know, they take you from one site to the other. So it was an all it was an all-in-one. We were able to go to a lot of these places at the same time. But you know, the potential for tourism in Osun State is fantastic. A lot of people have a lot of belief systems tied to one river or the other, one waterfall or the other in this place. You see people from Brazil. People from Brazil are in Osun State every August. It's the craziest thing. And you see them having more interest in some of these things than we do as people from this country. So a lot of tourism potential. Yes, it is being explored from time to time, but to make it an all year round thing and a major source of income, especially with these tax reform bills and the new revenue sharing formula that the government has created. So everyone has to start looking inward to find ways that they can show up their internally generated revenue, and Osun State has that potential.
So hopefully they're going to leverage on all of these kinds of scenario and then make what you can out of it. So yeah, it's a Friday. One of these kind of places is not, it will not be a bad idea for you to go to wherever you can. I mean, whichever way you think you can get your own, no, I said, forget about the mysticism. Just go there and relax. All right, let's take you through some of the dailies this morning, Ayo.
Issues around the tax reforms so very much in the news this morning. Look at the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Tax reform bills offer 55% to states in new sharing formula. The details you'll find on page 5 of the paper this morning. The front page of Daily Independent. Tax reform bills propose new sharing formula, cede 55% to states. Mall zero VAT on exports, essential consumption, reduce company income tax from 30% to 25%. Past second reading at Senate. Reps hold special session Tuesday. The details continue on the inside pages. Daily Trust newspaper. Reps in rowdy session over tax reform bills. Proposals scale second reading in Senate. The details you'll find on the inside pages of the paper this morning. So other stories, Daily Times has President Tinubu calls for increased investment in food, security, energy, and education. Find the details on the inside pages of the paper. The same story you'll find this morning on the front page of New Telegraph. Paris, Tinubu calls for more investments in food security, solid minerals, others. Details on pages 2 and 26 of the paper. This Nigeria will return out-of-school children to classroom, Tinubu tells Macron. Says no child should go to bed hungry, seeks more investment in food security, solid minerals, other sectors from France. The details you'll find on page 2 of the paper today. If you look at the front page of Business Day, you find Christmas. Nigerians choose Kenya, Morocco over Dubai on visa constraints. The details continue on the inside pages. The Guardian newspaper, World AIDS Day. Rising spread, more HIV-infected kids, slow race to zero scourge. The details you will find on pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper today. Nigerian News Direct has End Bad Governance. Amnesty International accuses police of killing 24. Says it is evidence of deaths, demands transparent investigation. Find details on page 3 of the paper this morning. These are some of the papers we have for you today.
Let's go to the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning that is bringing to attention something that is, some would even be wondering, are we still here? The issues around the world, around HIV/AIDS. It's, okay, for instance, the front page of the Guardian newspaper is talking about a rising spread and more HIV-infested children. And that is scary. The paper has some data on its front page, if you would want to pick up a copy of it. About 140,000 Nigerian children are currently infected by HIV, 22,000 new mother-to-child transmission of HIV yearly. Nigeria contributes 25% of the global burden of HIV, mother-to-child transmission. We contribute 46% of new infections among kids. Oh my God. And there 35% gets pediatric treatment as against the global standard of 95%. Unfortunately, we record 15,000 deaths among children yearly, 300 of which occur every week. So the question you want to ask is how many have died, this week alone? Those who are old enough would know that this HIV/AIDS thing was a major issue in the 90s. All kinds of stop AIDS, all kinds of kick against AIDS, all kinds of interventions that were executed, initiated by public organizations, by private sector practitioners, and all kinds of products came up just to help us stem this tide. Question we want to ask is, how come we're having this upsurge again? Last we heard, we were rid of poliomyelitis. Are we permanently rid of it, or are we still at risk? This calls to attention not just the troubling statistics that the Guardian newspaper is bringing to the fore this morning, but it calls to the question, what other deadly diseases like this are out there that we're not giving attention for one reason or the other? I want to appeal to all of us, particularly anyone who is an influencer at any level. Let's use whatever platforms we have to push out this message and let people know that, as we said in the 90s, we say again, AIDS is real. It has a way of debilitating lives. And World AIDS Day we hear is on December 1, that's on Sunday. But let's start now to give attention to it and not just make it just one of those things that we do once a year and then we fold the carpet. That's my take this morning, guys.
Indeed, a very serious situation there. I mean, World AIDS Day is on the 1st of December, so I think it's on Sunday. So yes, a lot of introspection there. I'm going to be able to look at this story here. It's the main picture from the Daily Trust newspaper today, and it's President Bola Tinubu in France.
Mm.
That's a lot of sweaters. It must have been really cold. Must have been really cold for him there. But there's a video that has been making the rounds on social media, and it was the band playing at the state dinner for the president in France, and they were singing P Square's testimony. It was nice. It was a good effort. It was a really good effort there. Very relaxing. They made me laugh this morning. But of course, the president is in France. We'll be getting all the details of what this visit is about. It's raised a lot of questions. What's he doing there? What's going on? Is this the time to be aligning there? Shouldn't we be looking elsewhere? What's going on? And then watching, there were a lot of things, there were a lot of teachable moments between yesterday and today, really, with this state visit to France. You know that thing where there's always a group of people around the president, none of that. He came out, walked by himself, and then people have been talking about some power move that has been going on. And I don't care about stuff like that, but they say you should if you're in power. You should care if someone taps you on the shoulder. You should really watch body movements and things like that. But I think that's a conversation that will come up eventually. A lot of people have been poring over this particular state visit. But that's the main picture there from the Daily Trust newspaper. President Bola Tinubu received by the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, at the French Military Museum in Hotel National des Invalides in Paris. And that was yesterday. So lots of things going on there, and we'll be giving you those details as they unfold right here on Channels TV. And one of the conversations that we're going to be having today is about the tax reform bills, because the Daily Trust is also leading with that today. The reps in a rowdy session over the tax reform bills. And you saw how contentious our conversation was here yesterday as well. Well, what do you make of these bills as we move into that conversation today, Chamberlain?
Well, you'll make of it when the public hearing starts.
I know,
there's going to be a
because there's going to be a public hearing on this.
Yeah.
Well, it's one that everyone should be interested in, because one of the bills there is supposed to be very beneficial to the Nigerian people. If you're on the regular minimum wage, you're not supposed to be paying tax, reduces the burden on a lot of Nigerians, but the governors have their issues with
VAT
it.
is going to be incremental.
Yes.
So at some point, VAT will go beyond 7.5%.
Well, let's see how all of that works. It's going to be part of our conversation today, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But New Telegraph focuses, the lead story was not the tax matter. It was the president of France.
Well, the New Telegraph.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so they did focus largely on that one. And the thing about that visit to France is, of course, there are so many questions saying, wait a minute, what's going on with this? When did we start this bromance with France? And,
bromance. The bromance between President Tinubu and President Macron.
No, Nigeria and France.
The countries themselves.
Because, looking at all of this, we've seen these Francophone countries revolt because they think they've had up to here, to all of that. So there definitely is a lot to all of these things. And if you actually visit some of these Francophone countries and see what's going on, Côte d'Ivoire, for instance, you see France playing a big role in the telecoms, almost in every sector.
And the vice president just came back from Côte d'Ivoire.
And even in the government house, who built it? Guess what? You know who. And so the grip, the control they have over Francophone countries. In fact, many were saying with the exit of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, end of France-Afrique, there's been that campaign to say, let go of this whole. There's several pieces and articles, people must have seen it, of how France underdeveloped Africa. There are colonies in Africa. They say France, the exploitative systems they had, the monopoly, and all of those narratives.
And a monopoly that still exists today in many of these countries, because it's a very serious conversation that really Emmanuel Macron has been called out on many times. Wait, you're supposed to be this modern president. Why don't you
and because
pull back on a lot of these things for now?
They say they forced a lot of those African countries to rely on raw materials of their own products. In fact, these countries are asking France, look, give us back the treasury. All the gold reserves you have, how come you have all of this when you don't have one single? So get everything back to these countries. But we are going in and embrace. Of course, they will embrace us with both, because they have much more to gain than us, probably, if you actually look at it. Because, in that banks that were opening, they didn't allow questions in from journalists. And you wonder, why was that the case, for instance? And so there are lots of questions. Yes, the visit has happened, but we need a lot more details as to what is the big deal? Why are we going here when countries are pulling us? So with this visit now, you could expect those other countries to say, you see, this is why we say we can't ensure or don't know. Clearly, we have to be cautious if ECOWAS comes to us saying, we need you back. When they say what? The enemy of my enemy. You know how that goes.
But the president is calling for investments in food security and solid minerals and whatnot. So those are the things that we're hearing for now.
We can call for investment all we want, but we need to know that charity begins at home. If manufacturers in this country persistently complain as to the policy, saying, look, put certain things in place, ensure it's easy for you to do business in this country. So if that thrives, and states and governments ensure that these things thrive in this country, I'm not sure we'll be crying so much about foreign direct investments, and most of them usually are portfolio investments. They don't have any structure on ground. Just brief, any little thing happens, they jet out, get their resources out of the country. So we need to actually think properly and ensure that, look, are we taking the right steps in having these moves here, or is it for their own benefits, the persons who are going there? So who knows? I guess we'll see. Well, we'll be back in a moment and take you through some of the issues we've got for you here today. So stay on with us.
Only 24 hours after the Senate admitted President Bola Tinubu's team to provide explanations on the 4 tax bills, lawmakers reconvened with the bills taking center stage as promised. In an apparent determination to address the concerns raised, the Senate almost immediately dissolved into a closed-door session over the bills. Upon resumption, the Senate's leader leads the debate on the general principles of the bills.
There is proposed huge reduction in company income tax from the current 30% to 25% by 2026. It is proposed that the sharing formula should allow state government share 55% of VAT revenue from the current 15% to 10% sharing formula.
There is a move and a commitment by the executive, and the attempt now is to encourage states to be productive. And why not?
However, there was one dissenting voice.
I would have preferred we remove the baby and throw away the water first. And that is to go with what the governors and NEC proposed. You withdraw the bill, work on it, and then submit it to the National Assembly again after getting the buy-in of the governors and NEC.
I beg to disagree with you that this bill should be withdrawn first. This bill is noble, it's pro-people, because it's trying to reduce the tax burden on Nigerians.
And in a voice vote, the ayes had it.
Distinguished colleagues, the 4 bills read so far are now referred to the Senate Committees on Finance for further legislative actions and revert to this August Assembly on or before 6 weeks.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives will hold a special session on the tax reform bills next week, Tuesday.
Please do consult as you go on this weekend. Come back with more robust idea and debate as we look into this matter finally on Tuesday. I wish you happy deliberation and consultation.
With the bills back on the front burner, all eyes are now on the public hearing stage where the bills will face further scrutiny and debate.
In a separate matter, the Senate suspends its rules to admit family of the late Senate President, Senator Joseph Wyers, to commence a valedictory session in his honor. Some members of the House of Representatives also joined the senators during the session.
Distinguished Senator Joseph Wyers was born in Basang, Obodo, Cross River State, on 24th May 1941. He was Commissioner for Transport, Southeastern State, now Akwa Ibom and Cross River States, from 1972 to 1974.
And on this note, I must say adieu, my predecessor. May your soul rest in perfect peace.
A minute's silence is observed before the Senate adjourns to pay their final respects to the late patriot. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, it appears it's gathering a lot more momentum, this tax reform bills over time as a result of the yes and nays for this particular bill. Much as they keep talking about some of the highlights of the bill, well, at the end of the day, yes, it's past second reading. There's going to be a public hearing before it gets back to the House. And the president has said previously, when the northern governors spoke up against it, NEC spoke up against it, he just thought, well, let the legislative process play out. So if you've got any misgivings whatsoever, get to the National Assembly and get your voices heard. So, yes, there will be a public hearing, as they say, but we're hoping that at least this public hearing will be such that captures a lot of those comments and how it is handled. Of course, there'll be a lot of attention on it. Yesterday, we were told that there was a lot of lobbying on the part of some governors to their members in the National Assembly, asking them to kill the bill, don't let it pass. But some of them did say, with this one, I think we'll have to do what we have to do. But if you've got concerns yourself as governors, show up. We'll also get your voices heard. But as they always say, minority will have their say, Majority will have their way. But it's part of what we're going to focus on here today, though. So let me even let you know, there's this a little bit of more background to this report in terms of the disagreements that played out. Have a look.
What began as a routine plenary session in the Senate quickly spiraled into a tense and dramatic affair barely an hour after lawmakers had settled for the business of the day. The session, initially scheduled to address items listed on the order paper, took an unexpected turn when the Deputy Senate President, Senator Barao Jibrin, made an announcement to suspend its rules.
In conjunction with the leadership, decided to invite the chairman of FRRS and experts in tax laws to come down here to brief us about the tax bill. Let consultants tell us what is there. Let the crafters of the bill, that is FRS, tell us about the bill. We want to make it as open as possible.
The move sparked immediate protests from some senators who raised strong objections.
I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here and make the kind of interactions they so want. Committees of the Senate and Appropriation can invite for the interaction of this manner, no, but not the Senate in session.
Visibly agitated, another senator reacted with an outburst.
We should not in any way try to use the position of the Senate, because the order paper is clear and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures. It is not a matter that you just come and tell us after we are doing business of the day. Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. Please, I beg you in the name of God, in the name of God, this matter is very, very important to not only us, but Nigerians that we represent. And we swear by Bible and Holy Quran that will represent the interests of the people. And that
you have made your point. Can I respond to you?
You can rule me out of order.
Let me respond. Let me respond to you, please. We are not here for rhetoric. We are acting on fact. Excuse me. Order, please. Order, please. The Senate shall, by resolution, regulate its procedure. This is what we have just done. This is the resolution that was just passed. You needed to have known what we have done. I therefore rule you out of order.
At the height of the disagreement, the aggrieved senators attempted a walkout in protest, but rescinded their decision after interventions. Minutes after, Senator Ali Ndume demanded an apology from the Deputy Senate President.
You called what I just mentioned on the point of order that I raised. You sitting there to say it's rhetoric. I think it's very unfortunate and you should apologize.
I don't think the word rhetoric is a negative word. It's not an offense. Nobody used that against you. In the context it was used, it wasn't used against you. It was a general statement. I therefore rule out of order.
The presidential team were then given the floor.
Nigeria is taxing its poorest people. We are taxing poverty. And it's not showing our tax collection because we have more than 60 official taxes and levies. Unofficially, those taxes and levies are more than 200. We believe it's time to address that problem. If we do not do these reforms now, then when should we do it?
At the end of the explanations, the lawmakers declined to ask questions.
The Senate has decided to invite the tax reform team on Thursday to further engage with prepared questions to clarify aspects of the reforms before a final resolution is taken. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
Perhaps one of the challenges here, Chamberlain and Kayla, is for those who may not have really looked at the even the letters of the law. We can leave the spirit of the law for now. And there are some highlights that have been pushed out. And even you, Chamberlain, have had to, at some point, put up some statistics for some people to even see what some of these elements are. Part of the promise is, as we have been told, 55% of some tax is going to go more to the states as opposed to the federal. People who earn between 50 and 70,000 naira will no longer pay, some kinds of taxes. And the same have been argued, on the floor of the both houses right there. The question that I'm just asking is, what really is the reason that anyone would be having issues with the laws coming into force? I think it's only a matter of time, really, if you ask me, because maybe some other elements that might be important is to even ask the private sector what angles of these laws are beneficial or not beneficial to them. There are those who say that it's the rich that is being taxed, and it is only natural for anyone who feels that he's going to lose some money to raise some issues. And if there's anything to be said for this bill, it's the fact that the National Assembly, a room full of politicians, are more for the process than against it. And even in the House of Representatives, the same thing. So I'm really very curious to understand it and why the reasons for the opposition. Another thing that might be added is, okay, have we even done any kind of poll? This is one of the things, Kayla and Jemelin, that I would expect a National Assembly to go out and do. Look, find out from the people you are representing in your various localities. What do they think of these bills? No skewed opinions or positions here. Let the facts be presented to the people, and let the people make up their minds whether this is one thing that is good for them or that is not good for them. Anyone who is earning good money should be interested in a pro-Nigeria initiative. For me, I mean, being away and coming back from this, rest, I'm just, the question, the position that I'm coming back with is, and I'm asking myself, how many people, how many of us are pro-Nigeria? We love Nigeria, and that's it. So what do you love about Nigeria? What are the issues that you have with your country? And what would you do to make it better? If this is one of those ways to go, I'm just wondering, it's just questions that I'm asking. Maybe if we understand the other side, Kayla, maybe we would have a better understanding, right?
The thing about this is, as it goes to, it is where it's supposed to be, where they'll lobby and see how they can get those bills passed. But the quality of the debate is another matter, which lots of people like to see, the process and how it all pans out. But I also do think that they shouldn't be prejudiced about it. Have an open mind. Ideas have got to contend. I know it's politics where majority will always have their way, as it were, but all of those things should be distilled. So 4 of those bills before them, the public hearing, a lot of people are looking forward to that one now, I can tell you.
The derivation bit, that caveat, I think when we start off the conversation, we started it yesterday, we talked about it, that derivation bit that the governors have issue with. You see, I'm believing that when that public hearing happens, we will actually now see these governors be more vehement about it. Because listening to Senator Ali Ndume, you can tell that he has been spoken to by his governor, and he's saying, look, withdraw it first. And that's where the contention is. The president doesn't want it withdrawn. He said, let it go through the process. The process is ongoing. And we heard from our guest here yesterday, he said even his governor tried to get him to speak up against it, but they disagreed with their governor in that regard. That bit about derivation, why the subnationals are so vehemently against it is one that will be behind a lot of the conversations that we're going to have. Yeah. And our guest will be giving us more details on that in a bit. But, the tax reform bills, 4 of them, they all have the potential to help. At least that's what we're hearing from Mr. Taiwo.
You should just look at the bill.
Yes.
Look at the details.
What are the talking points and what are the issues that they may be having with that bill? And our guest has joined us right now.
Just a minute. People should read. Just a minute. There are 4 of those bills before the House. So don't forget that. So they should look at each component of those bills. I think that they should focus on. Yes, they're going to debate it clause by clause. Well, it depends on how it goes. But if people have got concerns, if it's VAT you have issues with, if it's those who are earning below 1 million who will be exempted, if it's the incremental nature of the VAT, if it's the distribution, all of those things, they say you can bring your views forward. But let's get the views of Ahmad Adamu. He's an associate professor, Department of Economics, Nile University here in Abuja. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Well, I know you've been listening to us just going back and forth on this matter.
Yeah.
But I know these are figures. This is also partly your turf. So tell us, what's your impression of how all of this is playing out?
Well, first, with regards to the reaction of Nigerians and how they accept it without looking into the details, it tells you that Nigerians are experiencing paranoia. And this is stemming from their experience from the two famous policy of this administration, the removal of subsidy and the floating of the dollar, because these two policies have hit the economy and Nigerians. So Nigerians are now skeptical about anything that is coming from this administration, that, hey, is it another harsh policy coming? So anything that comes from this government, people say, no, we don't trust it. They don't even want to open to see it. And this coupled with the desperation, the urgency to pass this bill, despite the technicality, the volume of the changes in the policy, but there is limited time to engage with the people. I believe that a lot of time spent more than a year to bring up these reforms. They are good in themselves, but there are areas where we need to look at it and review to make sure that we carry people along. And despite the opposition from critical stakeholders in the country, but still the government wants to push for it and look at the manner how it was presented at the National Assembly. Some senators are thinking that it's being squeezed into the business order of the day, and people were not informed. Some senators have traveled, and then this sensitive policy is being passed so quickly. Second reading has been passed, and the timing is not appropriate. Because you need to engage more with the people to get their buy-in before you present it and even announce it. So let people support it before it's even being introduced in the National Assembly. Because even the senators are finding it very difficult to understand the nitty-gritty of the policy. These are even more exposed people than the people in the Federal House of Representatives, because we have the two houses have to agree on this. So the technicality, the volume of the law is not balanced.
Give us your impression about the quality of the arguments across board.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at some point, not a lot of people knew that there were 4 of those bills before the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Many thought it just one. But there were just 4 of them. And, you know, we've spoken to senators, governors too have given their perspective on this matter.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of the things that came through was, upon inquiry, some of them had not read it. Even some of the governors, too, due respect to them, did not also read it. Yeah. And then you thought, wait a minute. But even some former governors, former senators, you thought, but if they are arguing about some of these things, you would expect them to look at the clauses, the specifics, and argue based on that. But what we saw was not the same. We thought, wait a minute. So if people are listening to you, having occupied those positions as an executive of a state, and you haven't read it, it raises more questions.
Yeah, actually, this underscores the importance of sending people that are knowledgeable, educated to the National Assembly. Yeah, you can elect people, the president, governors, but those that make laws, you need to send people that are educated, that are willing and capable to read laws and even query them. Because if you look at this law, when I read the 4 laws, the Nigerian tax bill, the Nigerian tax administration bill, the Nigeria Revenue Service, the Joint Revenue Board bill. If you look at them, some of them are very good because they are modernizing and making the tax collection administration very easy, centralizing systems so you can trace revenues from tax. They're very good. If you look at the personal income tax, it makes life easier for Nigerians, the people that earn less than 800,000 naira in a month. They don't have to pay anything. If you have a company that you don't earn up to 50 million naira, you don't have to pay tax. These are good things. No one is talking about the good side of it. So instead of throwing all these things, now, for example, if you have 800,000 Now you pay about 24%. But now, after this bill, they say you're not paying anything. So it's cause for jubilation. But what Nigerians should be looking at is the specific content of this law. For example, why do you have to increase the VAT from 7.5 to 15%?
And it'll be incremental.
And after incremental, the space of years, for five, 6 years. So you just remove petroleum subsidy and you're increasing the consumption tax. So it's not consistent, because when you remove subsidy, you should anticipate people to face higher prices.
So this is the argument that they should be bringing forward.
Exactly. So you're not saying that this law is bad. You say, okay, let's take the VAT, single item. I say, don't increase it. Okay, we agree we can increase only 0.05. Okay, make it 8%. Okay, agree, we agree. And then you pick the issue of derivation. When the state are sharing their share of the tax of the VAT,
based on sales?
What we have right now is the state are sharing 20% of their share. But now you're saying, let's increase to 60%. No. Instead of 60%, can we make it like 25%, 30%? We understand your argument. Your argument is that the headquarters, the big companies, they file their tax collection in the big cities. The big cities take away the major part of the revenue, even though the consumption took place in other small states. So now what this law is saying, let the tax revenue be credited to where the consumption taken place, where it has taken place. So this will give small states benefit from the consumption that happened in their state, even though they didn't have the headquarters of these big companies. Yeah. So for example, if you have a beverages company, let's say Coca-Cola, producing in Lagos, and when they send their product, maybe 20 trucks to maybe their dealer in Kano, that Kano state dealer can supply information how many crates of Coca-Cola he has sent to Katsina, to Jigawa. And based on this, then we can conclude these are the Coca-Cola bottles that are consumed in Katsina. So that when they are filing in Lagos, so now we take this revenue back to Katsina. Unlike what's happening now, whatever produced in Lagos by Coca-Cola is going to Lagos State. So that there is imbalance, there is no fairness in the current system. But this open system for fairness, though you can have to ask, then how do you trace every consumption?
Exactly, because that is how do we trace every single one?
How do you trace? So for Coca-Cola, maybe you can do that. For telecommunication, perhaps you know where the call's coming from. Yeah, but there are other consumptions that you cannot trace. But you're still going to have that kind of imbalance. But you put in 60% and exposing the states to this kind of inefficiency or weakness of our market system, you're not being fair.
Wait, in terms of tracing, if people have shops in those states, is it not you go there, you look at your income, your stock, so they can, I think they trace it easily because it has to be with what did you have in stock and what was distributed.
Yeah, for example, if you look at small states, before you get a supermarket, a standard shop that prints and add VAT to every expenditure, you understand? It's going to be very small number of them. But you have local markets. You have market that sells animals, the agri product. You didn't trace this kind of consumption. There are so many consumption that are beyond the financial system that you may not be able to trace.
Sorry to jump in. Even though they say if you're earning, 1,800,000, no tax for you per annum, but you're still going to pay if you buy if you consume any of those facilities, any of those products. You pay tax in those consumption.
You're not paying both. Right now, we're paying both. You're paying. I don't know if
exactly. So you're being
because what we have is that you've been paying both. You've been paying tax on your small money.
So it's not holiday.
And so it's just one that they've removed.
Another area I believe also that is a very big contention is the issue of equality, sharing the revenue based on equality of the states. So initially it was 50% you shared equally, but now you are sharing equally only 20%. So there is no equality. Your level of equality is being seen at the weight of 20%. But it makes sense when you say it's 50%. Population is being reduced from 30%. Though I see reason why states should be incentivized for consumption rather than population. And if you look at consumption volume or value at a time, some states that are richer, they have individual consumption that are big in number. For example, in Lagos, somebody can walk into a restaurant and buy food of worth 300,000. In Katsina, highest consumption, you can have 5,000. So it's still going to have that kind of big imbalance between the state, even if you are taxing the consumption. And that's why the law itself was aware of this unfairness. That's why I say that 5% for physical
Better you get
balancing.
something than nothing.
Yeah. So, but I like what the president said when he said, go to the National Assembly. If you have issue, go to the National Assembly. The National Assembly, after this second reading, this opportunity for Nigerians to now query and ask their senators, this is what we want. Yeah, we look at this. Let's have town hall meetings. Let's have engagement, media. So educate people first, and then senators engage with them. I understand the president may not be popular. He was not voted by the majority of Nigerians. So any policies that he brings, people would like to oppose it without looking into it. But I believe that we have so many common ground. There are so many things that we share in common in this policy that let's look at this common ground. Even the governors now, they're showing concern about what's going to happen. What's going to be our power? Can we still collect the consumption tax? What's happening when we have this big company that's coming to us, state collecting revenue? What happened to us?
Ayo.
Q Chamberlain, one of the things that interests me in this conversation so far, and I'm glad that Chamberlain mentioned it, the fact that some people haven't really looked at the letters. The question that I'm asking you, sir, is the level of communication, the level of not awareness, but education, enlightenment that have gone into this. Do you see it as being anywhere near sufficient? Or do you think that this is just politics, quote unquote, attacking these initiatives?
Yeah, I think the opposition on this law has already highlighted the weaknesses of the communication strategy of this law. If the consultant has spent 1 year drafting this law, and I believe they need more time for communication, for engagement, especially when this policy has far-reaching consequences with our laws, with our way of lives, with even physical balances among states. So it requires just beyond the retreat. I heard that they met with the governors, they met with the senators, but they also need the buy-in of the people. Apart from the critical stakeholders, you need the popular support from the people. So that will have to also mean telling stories, capturing the vision of the people, so that people will understand the destination where they are going for, and then trace back to where we are and what we need to do now, and then allowing people to bring their inputs before it's even introduced to the National Assembly. So it makes it like a people plan, like a people bill. But because if you look at the sophistication of the bill, people will be worried that they might be endorsing something that they might regret later. So it requires more time for the engagement than it has taken them to even draft the law.
Yeah. Well, I listening to Honorable Ben Kalu earlier, he was talking to the people in the audience, that he was wishing them happy deliberation. He was asking them to go for consultations. And it just raised a question in my mind as to whether you think they do, or it is expected that legislators, particularly in the National Assembly, would actually take these issues back to their constituents. And even if all you do is just set up a WhatsApp group or set up a Zoom call or something, to present the merits of the case or demerits of the case, the facts about the law to their people one way or the other. Because most of the time it would seem like the people who voted for legislators, particularly at the National Assembly, get the news about the things that they have representatives in the National Assembly for from the papers, from the press. So do you see a need for the legislators themselves to take these cases to their people and get their buy-in? Because whenever opposition comes from the legislators, and as Chamberlain has highlighted, a good number of them may not have seen the benefits of this law. In fact, it's so easy to get these things done. A simple Google search will tell you, okay, these are the highlights of this law. So do you see a need or a process whereby the legislators, whether the Senate or the House of Representatives, would actually engage with their people physically and not just depend on some political or personal interests, because that is what it will look like to some people?
Yeah, you see, first, if the National Assembly members will have to sell this law, they have to believe in it first. They have to believe that this represents their interests. So this is the gap first. So the people that are supposed to go and engage with the people don't believe in it. And that's why the governors are now going to meet with the senators now and see what opinion are they going to come up with. But that's why that's the beauty of democracy, because now at this level, public hearings will be hard and people will be engaged. The committee now will be hearing and inputting the opinion of the people into this bill. So this is a very perfect opportunity for Nigerians. But the senators have to believe in it. They have to go and start educating people about it. They have to understand it first and then accept it and then present it in a way that it will be accepted and people to even give their input. So this is where we need to engage with stakeholders, the traditional, the religious, and the politicians as well, so that they can take this further down to the people, because these things need to be amended before it can be presented at the National Assembly, because the two chambers, they have to have concurrence. They have to believe that two of them, they harmonize on the stand of this law. And I know the president will not just sit back. It's something I know he's very passionate about. He wants to push for it. He wants to engage and mobilize the politicians to help him do that. But
Back on something that you said earlier, my apologies if you don't mind. So you don't think that the legislators believe in these bills? Is that what you're saying? And what else needs to be done to get them to get on track, if they have to?
Are you with me? Yeah. Okay. So for me, we have to sit down with the people and tell them the tail end story of what's going to happen if this law is passed, because this is another campaign. They have to be lobbying for the policy, and the president should not be rigid, should be flexible, should be willing to also compromise some of the provisions, because what matters is, are you doing what people want? As a leader, you don't do what you want, even though it makes sense to you, but you don't force it to people. Your job is to create the vision and communicate the vision so that you get the buy-in of the people. It does not make sense if the president bringing policies and implementing those policies, the people will not accept it. We understand that the removal of subsidy, it was not the popular choice of Nigerians. The president have done that at the Eagle Square. Nigerians had no choice. They gave him the benefit of the doubt. But with this policy, Nigerians, I think they have a voice. They can stand on the way to stopping this law. They will do everything possible to stop it if they don't believe in it. So it's the job of the politicians, the president, now to communicate, come down to the people level and educate them why he's doing it. This is not personal. You're doing it for the people. If people don't want it, let them have their way.
Oh, just one more thing for me. And that part is not written in this bill. And that's the part where all of this monies, this tax adjustments, people who are administering this tax, if you misuse this tax money, I think there should be some sort of really strong emphasis on us not taking it lightly with anyone who misuses public funds. Because we can't be sweating about this tax, this bill, you're paying this, you're paying that, and at the end of the day, you hear some politicians are stealing this humongous amount of money. Look, something needs to be done about some of this, and something more, a lot more than we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard you talk about rigidity on the side of the president. The rigidity on the side of the governors also has to be addressed, because they cannot stand and say, no, we cannot shift on this, because that's something that we're going to be seeing unfold in the next few days,
Yeah. Before I come to that, what you said about the confidence that people have in the leadership.
Yeah.
So you want me to give more tax,
exactly,
and you want me to accept tax reform, but what benefit am I getting from the government?
Absolutely.
Now, we've seen cases of even former governors being accused of corruptions, hundreds of billions, and people will say, you are collecting more tax from me. Am I incentivizing more corruption? What happens? What's the marginal cost and the marginal benefit of government? People will weigh all the benefit they get compared to what they are being taxed. So people want to see what's on ground. There's a lot of borrowing in the country, more than 100 trillions of debt. And you have local revenue generating agency surpassing their limit. So why will the government have to keep borrowing? And now why will the government has to have this kind of bogus and big budget? So why won't the government stay within its limits, what we can generate, instead of taxing people? Because revenue comes with the burden. Because when you increase revenue from government, it comes with burden on the society, and it hurts the economy. The government might say, okay, we can still borrow because our borrowing is not up to 50% of our GDP, but it hurts the micro economy, because if you look at the inflation exchange rate, it's hurting the economy at micro level. And that what should concern the federal government. So what the government should be focusing now is not increasing revenue, but spending the money where it's appropriate. The government may have to solve all problems at once. Fixing one big problem or important problem or significant problem will solve all other problems. And for the rigidity, both sides have to be flexible, have to be willing to come and meet somewhere, so that both sides will understand one another. So we're all not doing this for personal gain. It's not win or I defeated him. It's what's good for the country. So the common interest is the country, is the people. And that's what we share in common. And if we have this common goal, then we can meet somewhere.
Yeah, and the only one that should stay rigid is the law against anyone who steals these public funds. That's our hard-earned money. We're very rigid with that kind of person or those kinds of people, as a matter of fact. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on today. Ahmed Adamu is an associate professor of economics, Nile University of Nigeria here in Abuja. Well, now we'll just, for our viewers on the DSTV platform, the ceremony, the funeral ceremony of the late wife of His Excellency Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umar Ino. That comes up now. But Business Morning continues on our other platform, and we will be back as well afterwards.
Naira to the dollar. So we're going to be looking out for the last trading day also for the FX market. That's the last trading day of November. To the oil market, now we see oil prices, they rose slightly today following a potential renewal of supply risk as Israel and Hezbollah traded accusations of ceasefire violations and a delay to an OPEC Plus meeting. That's leaving investors awaiting decision on its output policy. Brent crude futures, that rose about 10 cents, about 0.1% to $73.38 a barrel. Wondering if that $70 level will hold for Brent. That's the close of trade today. West Texas Intermediate crude, that's the U.S. Futures, that was trading at $69.17. So we see the spread between Brent and WTI closing up, but it's up 45 cents, about 0.7% compared to Wednesday's closing price. On a weekly basis, Brent futures is down about 2.4%, and the U.S. WTI benchmark trading 2.9% lower. But that traded that remained thin. But if you look at both there, 0.1%. That's what we have up for Brent and WTI for trade. So it's looking more like it's going to be a negative trade. That's for the week. Israel and Lebanese armed group Hezbollah traded accusations over alleged violations of their ceasefire that came into effect the day before. The deal had at first appeared to alleviate the potential for supply disruption from a broader conflict that had led to a risk premium, and that's for oil. And the federal government, through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, has announced the approval of a license for the construction of a new refinery. The approval given to a company named Process Design and Development Limited is to establish and construct a new 27,000 barrels per day refinery. The facility will be located in Dolowore, a core area of Gombe State. The latest development signifies that Nigeria now officially has about 10 modular and regular refineries, adding to the nation's refining capacity. However, despite the increase in the number of refineries, most of them remain moribund, with many not functioning at full capacity or efficiently. And the Ebonyi State Governor, Francis Nwefuru, has presented a 2025 budget proposal of 396 billion naira to the State House of Assembly. The proposal allocates 284.52 billion naira for capital projects, focusing on infrastructure and development, while about 112 billion naira is earmarked for recurrent expenses. Governor Nwefuru emphasized the budget's goal of driving economic growth and improving social services across the state. Take a listen.
Mr. Speaker, and our dear distinguished honorable members of this revered House, the implementation of the last budget was adjudged worthy by internationally acclaimed budget tracking organization, Budget, ranking us highly, 5th position on Fiscal Transparency League table across the nation. It is our most fervent desire to perform even better in the coming years. To this end, in consideration of our projections and proposed interventions in the economy of the state, we have christened this budget a budget of economic and social development. It is our hope that if we do our best as we plan to, this budget would guarantee industrialization, economic growth, and improved standard of living.
And after a 14-year hiatus, the Lagos International Trade Fair resumed the trade fair complex at the Mile 2 Badagry Expressway with government dignitaries, private sector players present. The theme of the fair was strengthening Nigeria's commercial and industrial sector through trade and investment, and has been described as significant in driving economic growth and industrial transformation. At the closing ceremony of this year's trade fair, the executive director, Barrister Vera Safi and Danusa, described the fair as successful, and commerce is ready to take its place.
This trade fair, coming after about 15 years of the previous one, has not only served as a platform for businesses to transact, but also as a symbol of the global spirit of cooperation. In today's world, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, where challenges are shared across nations, it is clear that collaboration is key. We have seen firsthand how industries can work together, how borders can become bridges, and how technology and innovation transcend geographical limitations.
This event, a testament to our resilience and commitment to economic growth, has not only marked a triumphant return, but has also set a new benchmark for trade fairs in Africa. The overwhelming response from exhibitors and visitors alike underscores the enduring appeal and strategic importance of this platform and location. This year's fair has been a dynamic hub of innovation, creativity, and business opportunities. From cutting-edge technologies to traditional craftsmanship, the diverse range of products and services showcased here has been truly inspiring.
And now to our first conversation. Nigeria's retail sector has experienced significant growth in recent years, driven by a growing middle class, increasing urbanization, and rising consumer spending. But the sector is expected to have grown in 2024, driven by the expansion of e-commerce, the growth of modern retail formats, and increasing demand for convenience and lifestyle products. Well, joining us to share his wealth of experience in the sector is Irfan Vayani. He's a general manager, Mega Plaza, joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, such an iconic brand, Mega Plaza. I used to go there, as a kid, and you guys are almost about over 30 years at this point, and I'm sure it's been quite a ride, in Nigeria.
Mega Plaza was established in 1992, and I think it has stood test of time, having a business standing for last 30 years. Yes, so...
Well, how would you describe, doing business in Nigeria so far?
Amazing, interesting. I'm loving it. We are the trendsetters. We are the leaders. And I think we were the first shopping mall, very unique retail outlet. And we've had others who have come in. And as you can see, now the trends are changing. Things are changing, right? So you can see in urban areas like Port Harcourt, Abuja, Lagos, you have more well-organized outlets, retail outlets, like supermarkets, like shopping malls. And then you have a lot of Nigerians moving into the urban areas. And it's kind of, how do I put it, the consumer mindset has changed. And secondly, the other trend we can look at is e-commerce. A lot of people are shopping online. So that trend is really growing. And then also payment gateways, way of doing payments. As you know, Nigerian economy, our naira has kind of devalued. I can be carrying money on my back, right? So we're holding a handset. Payment has become very easy, and that is also helping with the growth of retail market at the moment.
Right, and looking at 2024, Nigerians and consumers have been through a lot, in 2024, and we've seen rising PMS prices, rising food prices. Tell me how all of this, is impacting demand so far in 2024. How would you describe business, this year?
Business has not been really bad. Yes, it's been tough for Nigerians. We've seen forex prices, rates going up. We've seen petroleum prices have gone up. But also, people's pockets have been really going up, right? Salaries have gone up. We've been adjusting to that. And having, we have the youth here, where I think 60% of Nigerian youth are around 26 years, that's the average, and that's where the money is. And how do we close that gap, right? So what we did as Mega Plaza, we used the digital platform to go out there. Yes, we have our brick and mortar building, the traditional building. We've now started going out for people in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, in the north, in the south. And how do we do it? Social media. We are very strong on social media now, and we're using the youth to get to the customers. We're not waiting for people to come in. And knowing that the e-commerce platforms like Jumia, Konga, has really affected also people like us. We've been in market, right? So there's not much footfall. Like for yourself today, what will you do? Pick your phone, Google where I can get this thing, go to their website and order, right? So we are also, as traditional retail outlet, we are going hybrid now. So kind of, yes, the economy has really hit everyone, but there's solution to everything.
Right, and talking about the e-commerce growth so far, what would you say is the way forward? Because when it comes to e-commerce, you also have to have the internet, and at the same time, you have to have money in your pocket to make some of these trades. So what are you seeing going forward for e-commerce and how it's going to continue impacting your industry?
I see a very positive impact. As I said again, that through e-commerce platform, you can reach a wider region compared to the traditional outlets you had. So for us, we as Mega Plaza have kind of, we are moving with time. So having the e-commerce platform, like our platform is called megaplaza.ng. So we are not, we are looking at how to reach out to people, right? So e-commerce is a good thing. It's a growing market. You have more varieties of goods on e-commerce platform compared to what you will have on your outlets. So you're giving them more items, best payment systems, and I see a tremendous growth there.
All right, so, at the end of the day, with business, there are always opportunities and, challenges, at this time. Talk to me about some of the opportunities you're seeing in the retail sector right now, because we have some investors, sitting on the sideline with a load of cash, but they don't know where to put it into. What would you say are the opportunities in the retail sector?
Currently, if you look at the market, most of the consumers are now not going for imported items. They're going for the local items. And a lot of investors also who have come in are not importing products from abroad. What they're doing is they're assembling here. I'll give you an example. Samsung. Samsung have started assembling the TVs and electronics, whatever, here in Nigeria. So is LG. So is Hisense. So is My Dear. What is that showing you? That there is growing demand for local products. And the products that are manufactured in China are not for our African market. Because one, remember, our power supply, the fluctuation is not what Chinese interface, right? So what they're building here is for our markets. And I will advise the investors to look into Nigeria, population of 230 million. It's not a small population, right? I think this is the largest population in Africa, in any country, right? I myself, I'm from Kenya. We're only 60 million. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities, and I see the retail market growing tremendously.
So it's the kind of market that you can come in, and make a good profit.
Yes.
On your
100%,
investment.
100%.
All right. So looking at some of these electronics that you spoke about, and we know most of them are imported.
Yes.
At this time. So the dollar issue, definitely, we've seen prices that's when you're looking at the naira value, they're not what they used to be. Things you could get for maybe 50K, 100,000,
inflation,
like 300,000. So the inflation it's off the roof, at this point. And I'd like to know how demand for such electronics, how that's looking, and if there's some kind of package, for people that don't want to pay all of that money at once. What trends are you seeing, when it comes to maybe paying small?
Paying small. There you go. So what we've done is we've partnered with banks. You can come in to our outlet, and we will refer to a certain bank that we've partnered with, and you can pay over the 6 months period. We have banks like Zenith Bank that we're working with, Providus, Globus. That's one of the way to go about. Secondly, what we are doing is we're putting offers on our outlets. And Mega Plaza is quite unique also. When you walk in, you can ask for discount. Our prices are not fixed. We understand the market, we understand what's going on, and we understand the pain that people are going through. So what we are doing with our distributors, and mostly the manufacturers who are here, we've engaged them, and we're kind of making a bundle offer. So if you're buying a TV, you're getting a soundbar free. Or if you're buying oil, you're getting a small pack of rice free. So that's the way to go. You need to come up with some innovative ideas.
And with all of these innovative ideas, would you say it is going to hit hard when you're taking stock of revenue and profit and all of that, or do you think companies or retailers can still be there for the customers and still make profit?
Yes. So what we are looking at is small profit margin and big turnover. That's the game in retail at the moment. You cannot have 30-40% profit margin and then expect people to come. I'd rather make 6-7% profit margin, but long run, I'm making good amount of money.
Right. So definitely Black Friday. Black Friday is upon us.
You should come to Mega today. It's ending today.
Right. And we know some of the deals. They look mouth-watering. When you see some of the deals coming out from different brands. At this point. But do you expect that consumers will be able to make those purchases, even though you might see them as mouth-watering, but to some consumers, they're like, I still can't afford it. At this point.
Yeah, the consumer's mindset has changed. People are looking for premium products, but at a cheaper price, right? But for us retailers, I told you again, we are working with our distributors and our manufacturers. We agree to a 50-50 term with them. So if my profit margin is small, I will ask them to reduce their price. Currently, we're having up to 70% off in Mega Plaza, realistically, not just say 70%, and you don't have products up to 70%. And we've been doing Black Friday every Friday of November, and we've seen quite a huge amount of sales.
Right, and going forward, at this point, we also have festivities, upon us. That's December. It's Christmas, and there's going to be a lot of gifting. So, how would you compare, say, 2023? Let's go back. 2023 Christmas. Would you say demand was strong?
I think it's still consistent, man. I won't mention a company, but there's a client of ours who we've been working with, and I thought they might reduce their gifting this year, but rather they even increased it. And as we talk, I'm supplying the products to their offices today. When you come into Mega Plaza, you will see a lot of gift hampers on the floors. And the sales have already started. I don't think, Mega Plaza is a premium shopping mall. And it's also about prestige when you shop in Mega Plaza. So it's really not affecting us. I'm just seeing growth. A lot of people will be like, the economy has hit us hard. But I'm like, guys, you need to move with time. Come with innovative ideas. Give back to the customers. Like one way we are giving back to customers is we normally have events every 3 months. So the last event we had was Independence Day. And we gave back to customers like a lot of things for free. We had sponsorship from My Dear. My Dear, they gave us goods worth 30 million. We had a company, another brand called Royale, gave us goods worth 20 million. Sponsorship, I'm selling visibility to them, right? I'm branding, selling visibility, they're giving me products. What am I doing with that products? Sharing with that people. We did online sharing, and we had a physical event where we gave out. So what happens is even the customers will keep coming back.
Right, so, definitely, to be a retailer, you always have to have an address, at this point. And we've also seen inflation, how that's impacted, the real estate sector. We're seeing rentals, higher than, they used to be, at this point. So when you see other retailers now looking to come into the market, they're trying to get an office space and all of that, what would you say they should look out for, at this time, or put more attention to, when they're setting up shop?
I would say when they're setting up shop, first of all, is to look into their finances. If they're not strong enough, I wouldn't advise them to come in. Today, rent for, let's say, I think in most malls per square meter, they're charging you between 200 to 300,000 per square meter, exclusive electricity, exclusive service charge. And I will even tell them, today, if you want to do business, go online. Use your online platforms. Yes, you have your physical store, but e-commerce platforms are the best way to go. Today, in this digital world we are in, and it's rapidly growing, today you can sell through your WhatsApp, you can sell through your Instagram, through Facebook, and through your website. So that's the way to go. And rather than even having a physical store, you find people today are using the online platforms. They're selling from home. They don't need to have a physical store, right? So your capital is quite minimal. You don't need to invest much.
And if this trend, continues, we know we have investors in the real estate sector that, they want to open malls, every nook and corner, and they're expecting the malls are going to get filled up. So, going forward, are you seeing the investment in malls, coming down?
I'm seeing investment in malls really going up. You can see it in the urban areas, like I told you, Port Harcourt, Abuja, Lagos. It's growing. And also customers in urban areas want very well-organized retail outlets. So in rural areas is where I see the growth of the malls, and all this will come up, because they have not tasted this, so they're going to taste it. But now what is happening in the urban areas is hybrid retail solutions. So you have your physical mall and you have your e-commerce platforms.
And we also know there's growing technology also in your sector at this point. Would you say, because everyone's, we know people right now, the unemployment rate, even though we saw the last figure, it did come down, but some have said it's because of the hustle nature, of Nigerians. So would you say retailers are still employing, labor, like they used to at this point, or are they replacing people more with technology now?
People are being replaced with technology more. I would say that. And anyway, as we all know, technology is going to take over. AI, which is in play now. So, I don't know, our children or the youth now, even they're going to the tech. They're tech savvy. And even if you feel, it's not like robots who are going to run the things. You still need a human to run it. So it won't be much effect. It's just time. It's just time.
And has AI started shaping how you see consumer behavior, giving you, secrets into how the consumer is thinking? Have you started using AI, with that?
we're all using AI, I believe. I'm using an AI phone at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, and even at work, I have some AI softwares. And I was reading somewhere, I read an article that you have these AI sensors, like the cameras placed in retail outlets, and they can read your mood, and how it will even tell you if this consumer really wants to buy you. It's just come to pastime. So technology is really growing.
So you can determine who the window shoppers are.
Yeah.
At this point. But how's that looking though? How are the window shoppers? Are they still a lot?
In Mega Plaza, I wouldn't say much. No. What I've noticed, I've been with Mega 2.5 years. The customers who are walking into Mega are those who want to come and buy. I don't see much window shoppers. And I also know that people are very busy in their lives. Why would they want to, if they want to window shop, they just scroll through their phones and look what they want.
So no more physical window shopping.
No more physical window shopping.
You do it on your phone
phone.
This time. But is it as fun as actually, window shopping? Because I won't lie, I love to window shop, at some point. And obviously the retail therapy, that's a beauty, at this point. But it depends, on your pocket at this time. So, going into 2025, what are you seeing?
I can see a very positive change that will be coming in. Even though we are seeing the economy very harsh, I think the economy will get better. I've been talking to a lot of people in our sector and other sectors. I see the retail market will grow tremendously. And we also, Mega Plaza, are planning to open an outlet, 2 outlets, one in Port Harcourt and one in Abuja. If we didn't see something positive coming in, we wouldn't invest money. We would have just held back and been like, and as I said, we have 1 outlet for the last 30 years plus. Now it's time for us to expand because we're seeing a growing demand. And 2025, it's very promising.
All right. Well, I'd love to share your optimism at this point, but we know it's a high interest rate environment. We know the central bank has been, raising rates, trying to tame stubborn inflation at this point. So definitely, do you think retailers are still going to the banks, to get some of this capital, or are they finding other ways to raise money?
Retail is the best, smart way to go. I'll explain now. Distributors are the ones who are going to the bank. The retailers are not. Retailers are using distributors' money to do sales. Because distributors will give you 30 days, 45 days credit terms. And there are those who will give you 14 days credit terms because they want to offload their goods. So what's happening is the distributor is the one going to bank to go pick up money so that they can push. But retailers, I don't see.
So I guess retailers don't need the bank. Well, very interesting. It was great having this conversation with you. That was Irfan Vayani, General Manager, Mega Plaza. Thank you so much for coming on, and happy Black Friday, I guess.
I will see you today.
Hopefully. Hopefully I have money in my pocket.
Even if you don't have, we can work something out. What did you say?
Pay small.
Pay small.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right,
great having you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll get an expectation of what to expect for the Black Friday trade right here in the equities market. Just stay with us. Also, the Nigerian equities market traded with bullish sentiment yesterday with gains from Wando, Aradol. That drove the all-share index higher by about 0.5%, 0.5%, there to 97,783 points. And now we see the month to date. It was negative before this gain, but yesterday returns now in positive territory, about 0.1%. Let's look at the volume of trade. That's yesterday. We'll see just value in the green, up about 5%, 10 billion. That was traded, but we'll see volume compared to the previous day, 23% down, and deals 10.43% down. So, yeah, today is the final trading day of November. We'll get a sense of if the bull is able to maintain what we saw yesterday, and maybe we can say November was somewhat to remember. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. That's it from me on Business Morning. I hand things over to the Sunrise Daily team.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Yes, indeed, we've got Dr. Matthew Adepoju, who is the Director General. That's the National Space Research and Development Agency. Good morning, sir. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Well, so many things about your agency. I know many will be wondering, oh, okay, what's been happening for a while now? It's 25 years, who would have thought? Wow, but what a journey it's been for your agency. So what is the feeling in the agency at this point in time?
Oh, well, we are very, very, very happy, and I'm 1000% sure that my officers are very happy too. Going back in time, some of the breakthroughs that we've achieved, some of wonderful results we've achieved in the agency. And the first 25 years is a glorious journey, but the next 25 years is going to be greater glory.
Okay, let's look at the first 25 before we go to let's look at the first 25 before we go to the future.
Yeah.
We know at the time we made a buzz about NICOMSAT, all of those, and then the Nigeria satellite. In fact, there was supposed to be 2025, but we'll come to that too.
Okay.
So, but let me start on this bias note. Media, in terms of satellites, research, and how it does benefit the media. What's going on in that area?
Well, the broadcasting now, your constituency is the greatest beneficiary of that, because with the communication satellite and other form of satellite technology has turned the whole world to global village. That cash freeze is not in fallacy. It is a statement of fact that what happens in America live, we are part of it in Nigeria. What happens in Nigeria, the whole world is part of it. That is made possible with the space science and technology.
So when NICOMSAT was launched and then the second satellite was launched, many wonder how has that benefited this country?
Oh, great. One of the major reasons why we go into that is the fact that first and foremost, it's a money-spending venture. Secondly, it's a platform to bridge information gap. When it comes to satellite telephony, when it comes to teleeducation, when it comes to teleconferencing, when it comes to telemedicine, and so many other areas, we have actually done a great deal in applying the technology. Currently now, recently I met with the managing director of NICOMSAT, and she told me we have 19 stations running on the NICOMSAT platform, including our NTA. So NTA International is running on our communication satellite and many others, and they are providing broadband services as well. Recently, they declared 774 project, which means they want to take broadband services to all the 774 local governments in the country. You can't venture into that if you don't have your own satellite, because the cost will be so huge. The entire ministry budget cannot pay for it. But because of that asset that is there, we can venture, and we can do quite a lot of great things for Nigerians.
I want to be able to look at some of the breakthroughs in the past 25 years. Okay. Recently, we saw FEMA was asking that we needed your office to deploy technology, especially in disaster management. And then there's also the security component that everyone keeps looking at your office to see what it is that you've contributed in that regard. Talk to us a little bit about some of the major breakthroughs in the past 25 years and in the areas of security and disaster management. What kinds of things are we seeing from your office right now?
We work actively with FEMA, NEMA, and many other organizations that have the lead responsibility in disaster management. Oftentimes, we study event before it happens. This July, before the issue of flooding came, we actually studied the sequence of activities. And then we even did, my minister, Chief Jeffrey Naji, did a press briefing when there was an imminent of flooding because of Lago Dam. Because we were studying the dam, as the dam is getting water level is rising. So when it got to a critical stage, we had to conduct that in the press briefing, which my honorable minister did a great job to notify the state down south. Because when the Lago Dam is released, that's when we usually have surge in the flooding in the southern part of the country. And in the area of security, of course, yes, there's quite a lot we were doing. I will take you back to some years back when we had this International Human Rights Watch about the crisis that happened in Baga. And then the megaphone that, oh, the Nigerian army has destroyed thousands of people, thousands of this and that. But we went back into our laboratory, take the image of before and after, and we did analysis. And by the time the result was gotten, we took it to the filler too. It was during the President Jonathan. And we sent the result. The president, they forwarded the result to International Human Rights Watch. The people that did the work for them said they did desktop approach, which means they didn't go to the site. That our report is what gave Nigerian army peace, especially the leadership as at that time, that they are returning into peace now, because it seems there is international conspiracy against us in some cases. Or if we don't use our own asset and our knowledge and our technology to push back, they will keep on pushing us to the edge. And so many other support we're giving to the army in terms of geospatial technology and intelligence that we have given them. Most of these things, we can't come to the radio or the television to talk about them, because having a relationship with military, there's a lot of restriction in our engagement. But they know. That's why you see myself and then the Chief of Defense Space Administration hand in hand, working together, knowing fully well that the capacity that is on NASDAQ is a great national asset for our security community.
The first part of my question was about major breakthroughs. If you were looking back at your 25 years, because that's what you're celebrating, what stands out as the one thing?
First and foremost, we have launched 7 satellites. And we are not talking about shoebox size satellite that other African countries are launching for $250,000 or $50,000 or $25,000, and then they are saying, we've launched satellite. When it comes to the real business of launching satellite, Nigeria is #1. When you look at the chart, you see some country, 13 satellites, so satellite, 3 satellites. Most of them are small boxes, shoe-sized boxes. Ours is the real satellite that you have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to actually do that. So the first made by African satellite was made by my engineers. Nigerian engineers are the first African
100%?
that made 100%.
Oh.
It's Nigerian Sat X, and that's why that satellite is dear to our heart, just like the crest of a football fan is dear to them. That satellite is heartbeat of our engineering pioneers. Then, going from there, we went into communication satellite as well, which we are the only country in the whole of Africa that have communication satellite. Then we didn't stop at there. We launched Defense Space Administration. The defense session started from NASDAQ. Then we got to National Assembly, supported the movement, and then the administration. America is just, in recent time, doing their defense command, the space command. There are so many things that our leaders have foresight, and we were able to do greater things. And then we didn't even stop at that. We've done other Earth observation satellites.
If I could follow up on that.
Applications.
Yeah, continue, just finish up.
Thank you. In the area of applications, it was an Herculean task in the area of polio eradication, until we developed a geospatial tracking system for the fascinators, because oftentimes they jump houses and then they do some community, they won't do some communities. So we work hand in hand with them. When they go for fascination, when they come back, we put the tracker, we do the mapping, and then we see the area that they missed out, and then we charge them to go back for the mop-up. That's what led to declaring Nigeria polio-free about a couple of years ago. COVID-19, I will tell you as a matter of fact in my laboratory, some of the officers that are supposed to go and conduct the vaccination, all those things. They weren't. But we deployed the GTS as well. And they know they cannot stay somewhere and say, okay, we have done this and that. Because when the technology is there, technology doesn't lie. And another great venture we embark upon is the universal basic education. Thanks to the executive secretary, Dr. Boboi, who gave us the access to partner with us. We were able to develop the system for project monitoring and evaluation. Because in the past, contractor will get the job, they will get the money, but they won't build the schools. And some officers who are recalcitrant will be writing the report that is not in existence. But now, for you to write the report, you have to be in that school. Because the second project we did for them is to map the primary schools across the country, junior secondary school as well. So that database was even celebrated by World Bank as the first baseline information in our educational sector. So now, if you are giving contract to build school in Benin Kebbi, if you are not there as an officer that's supposed to write the report, then you can't write the report because we developed the system that we block the back end and it's linked up with the satellite technology with positioning thing. I forgot the GNSS. So all those things are running, and there is quite a lot we've done in the area of agriculture too. We have a crop wash platform where our satellite, where it goes, is sweep, and then we do NDVI to see the health of the farms. But when we finish this work, we are making a passionate appeal to ministry, department, and agencies who have the lead responsibility to turn this result into action, an actionable result.
The president recently gave directive for the launch of 4 satellites.
Yes.
What's going on with that?
We are finalizing the payment, fund release, and the rest now. And the president, I want to thank my president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the chairman of the Space Council, for his foresight, for his determination, and for his belief in the space science and technology. Because he knows for sure, even before he became the president, he has been a champion of our program. I've had a couple of meetings with him on some of our space program. And that's why it's not even difficult for him. And I want to thank my honorable minister, because if you don't have the minister that understands what needs to be done, there is so much things on the table of Mr. President. I have a minister who is the greatest ambassador of space science and technology. It takes our minute about our memo to the president, breaks it down, and the president doesn't stop in giving approval. So those 4 satellites is not all those 2 sides. They are not small satellites.
Major satellites.
They have major satellites. One of them is called synthetic aperture radar. It's a Buga satellite for us in Africa, because there's no any other African country that have ventured into that. And we have optical satellite, 3 of them. This is the first time we are having a president that is giving us, go, my son, and go and conquer the world.
So what will be the benefit to Nigerians when you launch those 4 satellites?
Thank you very much. The current satellite that we have, they have come to end of life. What we call end of life is when satellite is made, they give lifespan. Those satellites were given 5 to 7 years. We launched them in 2011. So they have outlived their lifespan. Now that we are having 4 coming on stream, then these 4 will continue our space asset and our legacy. But those data sets that we have, the beauty of satellite remote sensing is you have data set of 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and then the current one that you are taking, you are able to do analysis, and you're able to develop models to forecast what will be in the next 50 years, in the next 100 years. And that's why our role in the climate change and monitoring of the environmental indices is very, very critical. In the area of agriculture, we just have good relationship with European Commission, who is supporting our AI and robotics, AI in the agricultural area. And we started the precision pixel level mapping in Nigeria with blockchain technology. This is going to be intelligent sheet for the entire country. Every sector of the economy will be served effectively well.
All right, let's bring in our colleague. He's got questions for you. Ayo, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Well, one of the questions that comes readily to mind is the criticism coming from people, Nigerians, particularly those who don't even understand this whole idea of space research. Of course, I'm sure you must have come across them and perhaps even responded to those who feel that Nigeria should be prioritizing issues of poverty alleviation, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and all of that. Well, how do you respond to them?
Thank you very much for this question. Some questions are out of ignorance, and some questions are out of genuine concerns for the knowledge of the people. You cannot achieve all these things you highlighted without the space science and technology. All of us are living witness to the issue of palliative. Palliative was released by federal government, but you cannot track the palliative, you cannot link the palliative with anybody. With the technology that we have, from high-resolution imagery, if we develop a robust database, we will know the location of everybody. Now, you can only run, you cannot hide anymore, because if our system is well developed, and all these things that happens abroad, it's not rocket science, it's not magic. It's we doing the right thing, and the only way you can achieve that is through the space science and technology. You cannot have full sufficiency. You cannot have effective crime management or internal security without deployment of the space science and technology. It breaks my heart some months back, I think that was last year, that a state government had to shut down the telecommunication, all those mobile telephony. That is the way they want to fight insecurity. That is a step in the wrong direction, because most of the campaign of this internal insecurity, they don't use our regular telecommunication. They use satellite telephony. And we did the signal analytics for the military. That pick which one are your own signals. Those ones that are not your signals, then that's where your enemies are residing. So these are some of the things that are very, very important for us to get. You can achieve food insecurity, food security, and earth and so on. All those sectors, space is an enabler of all those things. And I make bold to say that space, science, and technology is the new ubiquitous. No sector can actually perform under this fourth industrial revolution without the space science and technology. All of us are regular consumers of it. And you cannot say that because of this terrestrial problem. All the solution for terrestrial problem reside in the space. That's the only way we can leapfrog ourselves and cut down on the number of decades before we become a developed nation.
Perhaps the challenge, Dr. Adepoju, is the balancing act here. I'm glad you dichotomized the two publics. One, those who are ignorant. Two, those who are genuinely concerned. So perhaps the challenge is that of the balancing act, because maybe a broader public education campaign may help to communicate the tangible benefits that you have mentioned here. Many are not sold on it simply because they don't know. So how would you recommend that public enlightenment would go? How do you go about it? 25 years and counting, and a number of people will be saying, okay, what exactly have they done? Unfortunately, just as you know, space research and investments in space research is not something people see. They're not roads, they are not, tangible things that people see. So they can't, when you say you've spent hundreds of millions of naira or hundreds of billions of dollars on anything, they are wondering, where is it? So how do you make this initiative relatable to people, particularly looking forward to the next 25 years?
Thank you very much. We identify our major challenge, which has to do with communication and breaking down the space science and technology into the consumable level for common man in Nigeria. And that's why we sought the approval to have our license. We have a NSTI TV license to run our program, because if you want to be informed and be learned, then we have to run the program that will make Nigerians to have good understanding of what is happening. Even this, our week of celebration of 25 years, We created the platform for primary school and secondary school children to come and do the robotics and coding. And we exposed them to some of the things that they need to do. Because when you look at other countries, apart from communicating with regular Nigerians, catch them young. Our children needs to be engaged effectively well at early stage for them to know that the role of technology is the only way we can do this thing. So of course, I've prioritized engagement and awareness, outreach programs under my own administration. We will do quite a lot because most of the times when we finish our research, the research doesn't go to the market. And that's why public-private partnership is one of the things that we are going to focus on to make sure that our spin-off becomes a consumable. I beg to disagree with you that the space science and technology is not feasible. Most of them, Nigerian can relate with it. You have your handset. You are in Lagos. I'm in Abuja here. All these things are made possible. I quite agree that we have terrestrial solution, but terrestrial solution do fail. Recently, some people cut the cable. But you can't cut the satellite. How many kilometers is the satellite? You can't go there to vandalize it. Recently now, they vandalize our electricity line. So some of this problem is not available in our own place, in our own sector. And Nigerians that are using broadband services and so on and so forth, the result is something we are part of. Many of us, if we forget our phone at home, we are not even complete for the whole day. That's the direct things that Nigeria can actually relate with. And in Abuja here recently, we had the Impape axis that the land with the ground was shaking. And of course, we have our seismic station there. There's monitoring activities there to know how viable, how dangerous the place is. And when we did our analytics, my minister made the press briefing and then put the mind of Nigerians at rest. So all those things are direct, tangible result as well.
You know, one of the things, as you very well know, Dr. Adepoju, I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, we use the handsets, we use the mobile phones, we use the internet and all of that. But as far as anyone is concerned, it's just a telco. They don't really understand. That's what I mean. I mean, these other, in these interventions, you are like the backbone of the services that people get, but people don't see these things. So how do we take this forward? How do we make it relatable to people directly so that they know that, okay, this phone I'm using, this education I'm getting, this health intervention that I'm getting is because Nigeria has a rich space research initiative?
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned, we will engage more in public awareness. We will engage more in the programs.
The industries,
that
my
goes to
apologies.
schools.
I'm talking about the direct,
Okay.
The industries themselves, the education sector, the health sector. What are the interventions going on with them so that that partnership can be robust and directly influencing Nigerians?
We have good relationship with Ministry of Health. I've highlighted the one we did in the area of COVID, in the area of polio, in the area of malaria. We have highlighted the one we did with even CBN, Hancock borrowers, the farmers that are getting the loan and those ones who will come and lie that their farm fails. We have engaged a lot of stakeholders. But sometimes, because of the mode of our engagement, we are the geek behind the scene. So sometimes we are to play that backup role and then allow the agencies to take the shine.
I like that one, the geeks behind the scene. Geeks rule, okay? As a fellow
Absolutely.
geek, geeks rule. Let's talk about, the celebrations. And, we've talked about the past, we've talked about the present, we haven't talked about what the future is.
Okay.
What are the plans for the future? And this week-long celebration, what's it going to entail? Are we going to see you in communities? Are you going to be more visible than you were before? And then what's the plan, really, for the future?
We have been visible, and my own administration, I'm not the kind of person that will be visible and not audible. I'm very, very good to be visible and be audible as well. And before we started the week, I told my staff, let's science and technology meet art and culture. And that's why my staff, since beginning of the week, we have been coming with our various traditional dresses, and we are celebrating ourselves, we are celebrating the country, and everybody is happy. And in the next 25 years, there are wonderful, wonderful journey ahead of us. First and foremost, we want to be the first African that's in space. And that one will happen in the next 1 year. Because we already
sending somebody to space?
Of course, yes. Not through our own rocket, but through our partner, Blue Origin. We already secure a seat there in the partnership with Sarah. There's an American institution that we are partnering with that. That will be the first time an African is going to be in space. And it's a done deal. We just need time for the maturity because there's a process that it goes to. Beyond that, we want to prioritize, or we already prioritize, the launch services. We have our launch vehicles and program running at Tepe Center. That's our rocketry program. We have attained liftoff. We have attained certain number of kilometers, which I don't want to mention on the TV. But next year, we are going to scale it up because of where we are now. I want to achieve 100% of what we already have now. And then the launch services is a money spinner for us. You can see how SpaceX is it took him an average of 2 decades to beat all the existing established billionaires. And the example is not far-fetched.
All right. That will be a fantastic one. We're looking forward to that in the next 25 years. So we'll find ways to keep leveraging and ensure that we'll let people know the benefits of all of this and how the private sector can also partner and move the country forward. So thank you very much for coming on, and all the best to you and the team.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Okay, so we've got this message from Law Alpha. He says, I had advocated that the presidential tax reform bill be revisited again by the National Assembly. To get it right, luxurious imported goods and services should be properly taxed to encourage local content patronage.
Professor Emonoka Enakana, PhD, he says the new VAT derivation model, where 60% of VAT revenue standing to the credit of the states is shared on the basis of derivation, while 20% is shared based on population sizes and the other 20% shared equally among the states. VAT revenue for the purpose of the new derivation model will no longer be attributed to the place of remittance, which is usually the headquarters of companies, but attributed to the actual locations across the states where the consumption of goods and services took place.
Okay, so there you go. That is the show for this week. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
It's Friday. Have a great weekend ahead. I'm Kayla Magua.